Dracula!
What's up, everybody out there in YouTube land? Wrath2501 here. Okay, got another video. I was looking at stuff from Popcross Studios, and this is D&D monsters as supervillains, lore and speed paint. I love these superhero supervillain ones that he does. These are just good. So I started looking at some of the other ones that he's got, and this one just seemed interesting because the thumbnail had the Beholder. So that just seemed interesting to me. So let's get this started, see what he's got for us here. Alright, and go.
Today is a great episode with a brand new Popcross Studios narrator. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start this video off proper, shall we? Last year, I did a video where I took mythical creatures and turned them into superheroes. Except it was kind of Dungeons and Dragons creatures turned into superheroes. I don't remember why I called it mythical creatures. But anyway, I was pulling inspiration for what characters to use from this really awesome book, Dungeons and Drawings. I was also experimenting in that episode with how I draw female characters. It was all female characters that I was doing. And today I wanted to do another round of that. Change things up again. For one, I'm going to do super villains, and not just female characters as well. Plus, I'm going to take inspiration from these epic Dungeons & Dragons monster cards I had a while ago. And third, I want to experiment with how I do backgrounds for superhero kinds of characters. Because I only ever really draw backgrounds when I'm doing monsters and creatures. So that's what we're getting into today. I think it's going to be lots of fun.
Creeper in real life.
Holy shall we? Let's go.
RTX on. Creeper RTX on right there.
If you feel like. But either way, enjoy the show. Well, hey there, y'all. I am a herald of the great game master Eloise Ludum from Dimension Z009. I mean, I'm more of a seeker and a researcher than a herald, but since my name is Harold, she likes referring to me as Harold the Herald. She thinks it's pretty funny, and I'm inclined to agree. Boy, she is great.
Because
anyway,
you're getting paid for it.
My job is to go around to different universes and find only the best of the best contestants for the multiverse games competitions she puts on for other overseers, giving champions from all around the multiverse the chance to prove their stuff. It's good fun for everyone involved. Except maybe for the people who died, but they're headed to a better place anyway, I'm sure of it. And I guess the people who lose limbs usually aren't too happy. But every challenge in life gives you an opportunity for growth, right? I'm sure they're better off now than when they had all their limbs. Anyway, I'm rambling too much. Y'all probably want to hear about some supervillains, right? Well, there's some good stuff today, so strap in. Eloise wanted me to go and find some of the fiercest villains this side of anywhere, so I marched myself straight down to Dimension D749. I'd heard stories about a mad scientist sort of lady from that universe's Earth who'd whipped up some mighty nasty folks who'd be perfect. They'd be just right to step up our game for the next competition and put on an even better show than we did with the Apocalypse Dome, which is a tall order because that was a mighty fine show, but I know we can do it.
That looks interesting. Gotta look into this guy more and more.
Lady from D749 just happens to be referred to by locals as the Dungeon Master, because she does all her work on this old, grimy castle on an island that none of the world's authorities have jurisdiction on. I'm a herald for a game master, might as well go to a dungeon master for some villains, right? Anyway, she has this open invitation to her world's on-the-run criminals that if they can make it to her island alive, she'll happily do experiments on them to grant them incredible superhuman powers. I really dug a whole bunch of these folks, and one of my absolute favorites was this fine gentleman, Terence Flask. The guy got to her island in a stolen yacht, and she really stepped it up with his powers. They're nothing flashy, you know. He got super strength, super speed, durability, nothing really fancy. But man, did he get big, and boy, does he look mighty sharp in the super suit she made for him. She turned him into the great villain Tarask the Titan, and there is nobody quite like him. He's been on so many
I think it looks like a Tyrannid
pages now that just the very sight of him will strike fear into even the burliest gentleman.
Not him, the creature that he's based off of.
Will be quaking in his boots looking at this guy. He's got a real.
You bite your tongue, man. Chuck Norris don't quake in his boots for
how
shit.
This guy is. A team of the world's heroes did manage to wear him down enough that he had to hibernate for a little bit, but that was only a temporary solution. They locked him up behind so many bars and walls he might as well have been in the center of the earth. But when this big boy woke up, he tore through every barrier like it was tissue paper. Honestly, he's so tough that I'm actually worried to even suggest him to Eloise as a contender. I don't know if I'll be able to find enough folks as tough as him to make it a real fight for the big guy, but I sure am willing to try. But of course, the Overseer from this universe has to be okay with us using one of their champions. So I gotta look through a few more before I make my final decision of who we want most. Let's keep looking, shall we?
He really hams it up right there. That's cool.
Well, and with this next lady,
oh god, that thing is
big and burly,
that thing is
sleek and
disturbing.
B. Hilda Cyclone doesn't just have a great name; she has a massive range of incredible
B. Hilda,
powers,
really?
all thanks to the Dungeon Master. But of course, she wasn't always a villain. She was, in fact, a championship archer. Went to the Olympics and everything. I mean, she came fourth, but there was some real stiff competition. She still did a real great job. She had eyes like a hawk leering at a field mouse. Till the day of the accident, that is. She was just out walking one day, minding her own business, when a villain bolted right on past her after robbing a bank. I didn't even know villains still did that, but weirder things happen all over the multiverse every day, so who am I to judge? Anyway,
Why?
this hero named
Rob
the
a bank.
Silver Warlock, who was a bit reckless with his powers, runs in and shoots a massive burst of blinding light from his chest. Was just supposed to disorient the villain, and it did. He had a base level durability that protected him from any significant damage from the light, but the light was so blinding that it totally vaporized poor B. Hilda's retinas. Her hawk-like vision was completely gone in an instant. Now, old B. Hilda, even before this terrible incident, had always had a bit of a temper. Wasn't the nicest shooter in the gallery, if you catch my swing. And you pair a grouchy person with a terrible situation, that can cause a real kerfuffle. She was obviously real mad and wanted Warlock locked up. Oh, that's fun to say. Warlock locked up. Sorry, anyway. He was protected by some admittedly questionable protector laws that had been passed for superheroes.
Questionable?
Since he'd stopped a villain and served an apparent public service, he was let off with a slap on the wrist. I mean, not literally a slap on the wrist, can you imagine? He's a superhero, he wouldn't even feel that. They'd have to get some Superman to do these slaps on the wrist to actually be punishment for most superheroes. But anyway, B. Hilda was obviously mad as a bear in a bushfire and wanted revenge. She did a bit of research of heroes and villains to see what other route she could take to her vengeance, and that's when she learned that all the toughest villains were getting their powers and gear from, you guessed it, the Dungeon Master. B. Hilda originally hadn't planned to be a villain, but she did want the power to take down the hero who'd blinded her, so she paid an arm and a leg to get a shady boatman to take her out to the Dungeon Master's castle.
Like literally an arm and a leg?
She made her request. She wanted her vision back by whatever means necessary, and the power to fight any hero that might try and stop her from taking her revenge. It was a challenge that the Dungeon Master was all too eager to overcome. She made the finest super suit and helmet she'd ever made with a beautiful blend of magic and technology. See, she's one of those, what do you call them, artificers. People who can make stuff with sorcery and machines. Anyway, as long as B. Hilda wears the suit, she can float through the air like a plastic bag drifting through the wind. And, most important, she has her vision back. But not just back, she's got beyond supervision. She has one massive mechanical eye right in the center of her forehead, and then another 10 that can all float around her body. She can see through all of them in any direction, so she always knows what's coming for her.
I forget what list of powers the Beyonder has, or Beholder has.
Out of each one. She can shoot a sleep
that's
ray,
a thing.
telekinesis ray, even a death ray. Whole bunch of different rays.
I know they can do all kinds of shit like
but
that.
The final touch on this suit was her main eye projects some kind of anti-magic beam that stops other people's magic from working on her, which was particularly useful for her revenge plan because Silver Warlock's powers were totally magic-based. Anyway, long story short, she got her revenge on the reckless hero and got a bit of a taste for the incredible power she now possessed. So she kept using it to take whatever she wanted and kill any hero that she thought didn't deserve to run around saving people and getting public praise. To me, she sounds like a perfect candidate for a round in the arena. But there was one more villain that I highly considered as an option for Eloise's next competition.
Pretty cool design. Though I don't like the purple for a beholder.
Now this last fella is a real interesting
What the
case, and the
fuck
only
is
way
that?
I was able to see him was by going to a sort of pocket dimension attached to Universe D749, called the Astral Plane. Calling it a pocket dimension's an oversimplification, but that puts it in the right ballpark. Lots of universes have something like pocket dimensions that overseers can use to build and hide stuff or lock people away.
Hide
or
shit.
do whatever, really.
Yeah.
Heck, speaking of astral plane, I know this one overseer named Astra who had a pocket dimension in her universe that was literally hell. She had a version of the devil there and everything. There's no
Literal
torturing
hell.
people, at least. Just lots of demons and the devil. But she's a bit of an oddball, that one. She also said her universe was destroyed by a pandemic 4 years ago, but I went there last week and it's fine. She's a big old liar. Anyway, this astral plane, right? It's a weird, woogly plane of reality where gravity's all messed up and magic is crazy enhanced. So the Dungeon Master goes there a lot to do her tougher spells and experiments. But it turns out some magic-using heroes found out that they could use it to try and sneak onto her island, or just sneak up on her while she's working in there. She's tough enough to hold her own pretty well, but she can't always be on guard, you know, especially when she's doing a complicated spell. So she needed a helper of sorts. She used the
Guard
astral plane
dog.
to get herself inside a maximum security prison, where she found Drayden Noddington. He was a killer and criminal with such a massive backlog of crimes that he'd been.
See, I don't know much
infinite life
about D&D,
sentences,
so I don't even know what the hell that
tracking
thing
chip
is.
in his head
Looks like another
to make sure
Tyranid.
that whenever he escaped, which was quite often, they could find him easily and lock him up again. The dungeon master had heard of him and came to his cell at night to offer him a deal. She
A
could
deal.
give him
Oh,
untold
God.
power and the freedom to roam around the astral plane to his heart's content, if he killed anyone who entered it that wasn't her or one of her associates. The tracking chip in his head wouldn't work in the astral plane, so it was the one place Drayden could be truly free. Of course, the dungeon master could have removed the chip if he'd been smart enough to ask for that, but luckily for her,
Apparently
he
not.
was not. She'd been broken out and nobody was ever able to find him again, or link her to the crime. In the astral plane, she full-on mutated this guy. He was down for anything. She gave him
Paws
massive
on that?
lobster claws and a spiky tail and a whole bunch of horns. Come to think of it, he does actually look a bit like Terence the Titan. Guess the dungeon master wasn't at her most creative the day she made him, but still a pretty tough-looking fella all the same. Now he spends his days hiding out in the pocket dimension, running around exploring, and of course, killing anything he finds that is in there without the dungeon master's permission.
Anything.
Me, of course, I have my ways of staying hidden from people. Anyway, I honestly thought all three of these baddies could be perfect for one of
Staying
Eloise's
hidden or
games.
just not
I'd come
being
to any show that had
important
just one
enough
of
to
them
care
on the
about.
bill. But at the end of the day, it is up to her. She's the game master genius after all. So I'm gonna go give her my report, and I'll see y'all next time. Have a great day, everybody.
Oh, so you only did 3. You should do SMG4 characters as superheroes. That'd be cool.
Boy, she is great. That was my warm-up. I'm gonna do this again. Harold. Harold's got the voice. I'm just a
Harold.
rip-off of Ted Lasso, but I'm gonna do this anyway because it's lots of fun. If you wonder what it would be like if Harold the Herald had a conversation with Benny Sharp. Benny Sharp. I don't think I can say Benny Sharp. Oh, I don't think I can say his name in Harold the Herald's voice. Isn't that a shame? When you're saying Benny Sharp's name, you kind of got to say it in his own voice, you know? You can't put a hard I in Benny Sharp's name. Benny Sharp doesn't have any I's in his vocabulary. Oh, but vocabulary. There is an I in there. Oh my God. We're busting this thing wide open, everybody. Well, it sure would be nice to meet you sometime, Benny Sharp. Ah, I'm just gonna call you Benny. That's alright, you can call me whatever you want.
What
Maybe
the
we will
hell?
meet sometime.
Now
Who knows?
he's having
I
a
bet you one day
conversation with
it's gonna be
himself.
Like 50 years before Pop Crust draws you.
Dude.
Okay. I should record the episode. I would absolutely
That was
call
cool.
this video a rousing success. I'm very
It was
pleased
pretty
with how
cool.
all of this turned out, and it got me hyped to do more supervillain and D&D stuff. It's been a while since I did a video set in the Pop Crust D&D universe. Probably should
Huh.
get back to that. Maybe I will have to do that Plants vs. Zombies D&D episode. And don't worry, I haven't forgot about the SCP Supervillains episode that is still coming. I've
More.
just had tons of different videos that I needed to get to.
Yeah, this is an
Different
older
timelines
video.
that I can work in. That video is still coming, don't worry. But anyway, if you're new to the channel, maybe check out the Mythical Creatures as Superheroes episode from last
should
year.
look at that
or
one.
check out any of my D&D episodes. I've got a bunch of Overwatch D&D episodes, a bunch of Batman D&D episodes.
What the hell?
Done lots of things in D&D before. Go poking around. But besides that, that's all for today. I'm Christian
Okay.
Wilson. This has been Popcross Studios.
Oh,
Home
yeah.
for Start videos on YouTube.
Book characters
Thank you so
as
much for watching, everybody.
Marvel.
We'll see you all in the next video on Friday, which is the community.
Okay, so that was D&D Monsters as supervillains. Interesting, I liked it. That was pretty cool. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, I'm going to be looking more into this guy's stuff. This is pretty cool. Like, he's even creating... I love that he creates stories for the artwork. He doesn't just create artwork. He creates stories for these characters. I just think that's awesome. Anyway, so guys, you know the drill. Like this video, subscribe, share on social media, and of course, click on the link to the original down in the description. Get down, to Popcross Studios. Like the original and sub to them over there. I will see you guys next time. Tune in every day for new content. Bye-bye.